Well, this is another random response video on the keyword God, and this time a clip from the movie Alexander came up, and you know, it did get me thinking a little. I mean, it's hard to come up with something there. You know, I could do a Gary the Great video, but that seemed a little silly. And so it got me thinking just about history and historical figures, and you know, the whole eye thing too. You know, you just wonder what you see in people's eyes, and the fact that we never really knew people of history. We never get to look into their eyes. We never get to see the human inside. We just get a story, and you know, when you're talking about a story that's 4,000 years old, well, 4,000, where did I get that number from? 2,000 years old. You got to wonder, you know, who was this person really? How much is it myth? How much is it, you know, the good overdone by the people who liked him, the bad overdone by the people who hated him? You know, you wonder what a character like a George Bush would come out like, you know, if you had 200 years of kind of ignorant history. I mean, 2,000 years. Gee, I have a problem with numbers. To describe him or define him. And so, you know, just thinking about it, I mean, I remember reading about Alexander the Great a long time ago, and the thing that struck me was some reference to the fact that he you know, once he was an accomplished conqueror, or whatever you want to call him, he sort of got that Pope syndrome, you know, where people had to kiss his hand, or, you know, bow and do all this stuff, like he was a god, like he did turn himself into one. But you wonder, you know, because here he is connected to something like Aristotle's his teacher, and you such a thoughtful man in terms of his logical discipline. I mean, I wasn't saying he would be right about everything, you know, certainly not. But you've got to wonder that there's such a weird connection. I mean, somebody who lived such a violent life connected to somebody who, you know, contemplated everything he saw, every bug, every piece of tree bark, everything in his world, appreciated almost everything, you know. So it's a strange story, you know, and it is just a story. And so it got me thinking further, and the point would be is that you know, we have such an advantage now, is that if any of us are great, or we will attain greatness, the record of our lives is so permanent, so real, especially with this whole video thing. I mean, it's kind of unalterable. It's you can really know somebody. Yeah, you can't know them as personally as in person, but you do know them. You do get the character. You get a feeling for them. The art of them, the nuance of them, certainly is expressed. And it's like, even if you take the raw text of what somebody is saying, it never has the feeling of the emphasis the person originally said it with. I mean, they say that sort of about Abraham Lincoln, is that he had kind of a horrible voice, you know, it was kind of high and screechy, not exactly the image of the man, and you know, and so, you know, he was very eloquent in his words, but he was a good speaker, but apparently he wasn't a compelling speaker, just because his voice was didn't have the timbre that you know, would have really made him more powerful. But obviously he was compelling. You know, he got elected president. But anyway, so anyway, that's the extent of this God video. Like I said, there wasn't much God to work with, and there wasn't, you know, wasn't much to work with. I mean, there was a lot to work with in some ways, and not too much to work with in other ways. You know, so this is what you get, is this video. instead of something else. And you know, I thought about doing something funny, you know, because it's, you know, the Hannibal Lecter is basically, you know, I guess he's Aristotle in the movie, and you know, you know, you could sort of make a joke out of that, but you know, I already did the Hannibal Lecter thing, so it's getting kind of, you know, don't want to make it old, and you know, want to save it for later maybe. So anyway, the end.